Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports, and I think this is video number 3, at least number 3, in the series of frustration with trying to mount a tire. In a previous video, I discovered a hole in the factory installed tape, tubeless tape, and so I patched it. Put the new tire on, and it leaked out again. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I know I patched the hole. Another hole, a new hole. So, this, and I want you to come closer, sir. So I want you to pay attention to that sound. It's nearly brittle. Now, this was the factory installed tape by Shimano, somewhere in some Far East land at some point. A little bit of history. I've had this wheel at least probably 2 years. And then, who knows, from production to shipping to inventory, sitting on the shelf type of thing, and then eventually being shipped out to a consumer, in this case my bike shop. I guess this tape is run its course. It's more than 2 years old now. Well, possibly even 3 years old. So hear that ring? Yeah, it's brittle, and I guess that's the problem. So what we're going to do is we are going to begin anew with new tape. I've mentioned it before. I'm a big fan of these Whiskey Parts tape. And I watched the Muck Off video a while ago about how they installed tubeless tape, so I just started doing it that way. Where my finger is right now is the valve hole. They want you to start opposite of the valve hole, okay? And I have clean this over and over and over again, and I'm still getting a little bit of sealant. So what I do to prep the rim is I use just rubbing alcohol, and you could use paper towels, you could use rags, you can your old race t-shirts make fantastic rags, shop rags. So in my situation, I got a bunch of those race t-shirts that are just taking up a lot of space in my drawers. I'm just going to start using them for rats. Okay, so we're somewhat clean. Now I have to tell you, I'm starting to get frustrated with this tubeless sealant from Silka. It is very thick. Once it's exposed to the ambient air, it gets thick pretty quick, and then it's the carbon fiber additive that they're adding for to increase the sealing properties of it. It clumps up, it's everywhere. Alcohol is typically more than enough to clean off old sealant, like, let's say stands or something that's already on there, to redo a tape job. But this sealant, it's just really gummy and tacky, and it's really a pain so far. So those are just some of my comments. So I'm going to find my valve hole again, which is here, and I'm going to start opposite. And as I mentioned, now if you haven't been watching my videos, hopefully I'm sharing with you some new information. But those of you who have subscribed to my channel, you sometimes will hear the same stuff over and over and over again. I like this Whiskey tape because the adhesive is significantly better than the Stans tape. Now it's thinner. Oh, speaking of thinner, This particular tubeless tape that was installed at the factory was only one layer. I always recommend 2 layers. So when you're pulling, or when you're installing this tape, you want to pull. Now you notice how I can see the carbon fiber or the darkness of the actual rim underneath this tape. So I pull and use my thumb as my guide, and then I push down and go through, and then I pull. You want to hear that sound, that stretching of the tape. So, sir, if you can get a little closer, maybe they can hear it. Okay, hopefully you heard that. So you want it to be nice and tight, and you keep pulling. All right, so that's 1 layer. We're going around for number 2. It's just like putting base coat on your walls when you're painting your house. You just want to make sure you get a very good coat before you apply your finishing paint. Now, when you get to the starting point of your tape job, which is right around here, because here's my valve. I've gone around twice. And I think the reason why Muck-Off recommends that you're 180 degrees out, they also recommend you cut this on a diagonal. So we're just going to do what they say, because that doesn't seem like a sales gimmick to me. So now what you do, and this will depend on the type of tape you're using, but you should be able to keep pressing it down, because the tape job is the most important part of a tubeless tire install. I recommend you don't use any tools. Use your fingers and just kind of push down. Make sure that makes a very good seal, because I have to tell you, 95% of tires not seating when you're first putting them on, tires losing air, it's your tape job. Okay, so funny little story. This all I found on the road during one of my shop rides, a night shop ride, and so it's become a perfect tool for this job right here. Okay, so what I do is I come in from the bottom and I just make a little impression, and then I can poke just a little hole. Okay, I don't like to use the whatever tool I'm using. I don't like to poke it all the way through. So then I install the tubeless valve, the valve core onto the tubeless valve. And then I use this to puncture the rest of the way. So close your valve, and then look at the orientation of your rubber grommet here. Okay, so that's going to go into your rim like this. So you don't want to be twisting it and doing all kinds of stuff. So you want to just poke it straight down in the correct orientation. Okay, then you have a shaped so this guy here, just the way Shimano does it, you have a little shaped guy there, then you have your little O-ring. I'm sorry if I'm moving too quickly, sir. And then that O-ring sits inside that lock ring there. And you want to keep that down. And you'll see that shaped plastic piece there, you just want to make sure it conforms to the contour of the rim. Okay, now this is something I do, not seen anyone else do it, but I just want to make sure the valve is fully seated. So this is a star nut driver when you've got headsets that you're installing. And so I just give it a pop or two there, and then that'll give me, look at that, gave me another, yeah, probably another full turn. Okay, now we're going to take our tire and find our rotation arrow. Okay, there's my rotation arrow. There's my label. Pro tip, your label always goes over your valve. And this is a very slippery tire now because of all the sealant everywhere. Okay, we are still going to try to use this silica sealant because that's what we do here. We do a series of videos. I take on the frustration for you so that you get to see the challenges involved and also how good is a product. All right, so very gently we rotate the wheel around. Now, unfortunately, now I can't put pressure down, and this is where it gets difficult. Now, if you're wondering why I did it that way, it's because Stans recommends, and I know why, because of all that fuzzy stuff, which, you know, that carbon fiber. Stans recommends that you do not pour it through the valve. Yeah, it wouldn't go through the valve. There's just no way. It's just way too, it's too many carbon fiber bits there. So now we're going to open up this valve. The first thing we're going to do is try to just seat it with the valve core installed. And now to share with you how frustrated everyone is, we've got camera people on shifts. My girlfriend shot the first two videos, and now my usual cameraman is filming the third video because we're having to take shifts. All right. Okay, so whenever you put on a new tire, so something something. Now I keep a light solution of soapy water hanging around. Okay, now it's quiet. Now, if you wonder sometimes, geez, what a ripoff. My local bike shop, they charge me $30, $40. I don't know how much they charge in a local area to install a tubeless tire. God, what a ripoff. I'm going to learn to do this myself and do it myself. It's the old equation, time versus money. If you've got the time, sure. If you got the money, get it done. It makes a mess everywhere. You need a compressor. Most road tubeless setups. Mountain bike tubeless, they've got it dialed. I mean, they've been tubeless longer than road tubeless. Road tubeless, by the way, I've been working with it since about 2009. We're in 2022, so that's 13 years. It's still a mess. All right, so I don't hear anything, but as I mentioned, I always keep a bottle of soapy water hanging around. First place I always spray is right there at the valve stem. And I spray the bead, the tire rim interface. That looks fine. Okay, now couple of more tips. I strongly recommend that if you're installing a tubeless tire, take a few, like maybe a day or two before a big ride or something like that, especially if there's a few unknowns, new tire, new sealant, new rim, something. Let it sit overnight. Let it not be the night before a very important ride, very important race. I've had customers that need a tubeless tire installed. They come in, hey, I need to pick it up in the next 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is. I want to beat the traffic home. I'm always leery about doing that because I don't get a chance to see that tire for a couple of hours. Like when you crash and the hospital wants to keep you at the hospital for observation, as they call it. Same thing. I like to keep a wheel tire, something sitting there for a little while to see if something is going to happen where it doesn't seat or it lets too much pressure out. New tire installs will always seep out some air the first couple of days. I mean, that's common, but losing half the pressure or more is a problem. There's something wrong. So I don't see any bubbles anywhere. So I think we're finally good. The mystery of the last week was the rim strip. In the previous video, you'll see I did a patch job and it popped through again. So thank you for your patience. If you've been watching these videos all the way through, I bless you because I really, really appreciate your time and your attention. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you up the road.